Hi there, today on Lydia's Books I want to talk about some of the books coming out in February. I realize that we're almost all the way through February, considering it's a short month. I mean, that doesn't help. And I will have a little update at the end of this video to describe a little bit about where I've been lately. Coming up soon there will be a video talking about a whole bunch of books that I've received over the holidays and January. This is just the beginning of that stack, and there are some really special and very important splatterpunk things I want to talk about in the next video, which will be soon, much sooner than later. So without any more delay, here are 13 of the books that I think look and sound the best coming up for February 2006. Starting out with Wilson by Jack Finn. I have been offered a review copy. It would have been an advance copy if I would have been online and available lately, which I haven't really been. I don't know if it's that noticeable because I do tend to post and ghost when I'm not feeling like being online anyway. I don't completely abandon the internet because I don't find it super addictive, but hey, I do find horror fiction super addictive. For years, Wilson has traveled with a carnival of oddities across 1940s America, a serial killer hidden in plain sight among the workers and attractions. Working the carnival's photo booth, Wilson possesses a camera and the hidden ability to capture the secret dreams and desires of his subjects on film. So it's supernatural. I like this. However, in doing so, the camera carves a pathway into the person's mind that Wilson can traverse into their dreams. Transforming into a beast of incredible strength, cruelty, and insatiable hunger, Wilson hunts, rends, and devours his victims in their dreams, leaving their corporeal bodies little more than empty husks. He is the perfect serial killer, undetectable, untraceable. I like the cover. It has sort of like a picture of Dorian Gray feel to it. There's a mirror showing Wilson, I suppose, in the carnival. It's got some reds and blues. It's very, I don't know, surreal looking, although very subtle, with just very plain serif text. Really wonderful, and thank you for reaching out, Jack Finn. I do love supporting all the Horror Writers Association authors, and that was definitely a submission to New Horror. So if you go to the horror.org actually website, the HWA website, you will find a page of all the new releases, and that's where that's located. Coming up also on February 3rd, this is Crueltyfree, a novel by Carolyn Glenn. And I love the cover of this. It's got this kind of pea soupy, mossy sage green, which is really one of my favorite colors, and a very nice, kind of hippie looking bloated font. It's not quite a serif font. It has serifs, but it's a weird bloated, very thick thicks and very thin thins. Cruelty-free, it says, by Carolyn Glenn in a bold sans serif, like impact for the title at the bottom. 10 years ago, Leila Devlin was an A-list actress with a movie star husband and a beautiful baby girl, Josie. When Josie was kidnapped out of their home and never seen again, Lila's previously pristine public image twisted into that of an unfit mother, heaven forfend. Driven mad by the hungry press, incompetent cops, and relentless true crime-obsessed fans, she disappeared into anonymity. Now, Leila Devlin returns to LA with the grand vision for a radical new skincare brand to reinvent herself and honor Josie's legacy. She's prepared to move into the next chapter of her life with forgiveness in her heart when an encounter with a parasitic blogger ends with him dead. Leila suddenly discovers that forgiveness is not as satisfying as a body hitting the floor. I love the sound of this book. As usual, all of these books sound really good to me, and it's going to be hard for me to choose one to pick up, if not like 4 or 5 to pick up, but I'm trying to like really rein in my reading time for a little more self-care time. I spent some time at a spa recently, and I will tell you, it was needed because I hadn't been keeping up on a skincare regimen. So this really speaks to me, aside from having horrible tragedy become suddenly in the public eye of social media. We had a terrible shooting in British Columbia here in Canada that has been all over the news, and just watching that unfold was quite sickening. And my newfound love of my skincare regime, I always had a pretty decent one, and I use the Ordinary products, another Canadian brand, and I just will be choosing better products from them more going forward because I really do need to take care. We all need to take care of ourselves. But yeah, Also on February 3rd, the beginning of the month is super jam-packed. There's very few books coming out near the end of the month. These are all like February 3rd, February 10th. So February 3rd, The Bone Queen. It has like an island in the background. It's sort of that sea green sort of look, and some bones and a skull at the top in the sky, so to speak. It's just a very creepy, ominous, seafaring looking book. The Bone Queen, a novel by Will Shindler. Single mother Jenna arrives on the tranquil shores of Athelcy, fueled by the desperate hope to find Chloe, her teenage daughter who's disappeared from their London home. She has no idea why. All she knows is that in the previous 2 weeks, Chloe had changed, and her ferry ticket there was the only clue as to why. On the island, Jenna soon discovers a macabre secret is hiding in plain sight. Everything's hiding in plain sight in these books. The Bone Queen and her previous victims is spoken of in hushed tones amongst the villagers. No one can say for sure who or what is responsible for the deaths and disappearances. Suffering from either paranoid hallucinations or real manifestations, Jenna must act quickly before her daughter is next. And the text on this, aside from having those bones and the sea and those muted greens and kind of like an aquamarine algae look on the front of the cover, the text is bright white and it is scratched in, sort of like chalk almost. It looks really cool. Yeah, this is quite interesting to me. Although this one might be even more interesting. And you'll see why in a second, lovers of Gothic. I missed out on the Gothic reading of January. This would have been a really good addition. This is The Glowing Hours by Leila Siddiqui, and the cover has like a woman that is looking, I don't know, maybe not quite dead, but she's in a pose where she would be a corpse pose, but her eyes are open. There are flowers all around her, so it's like expected death to come, with a summer cottage type mansion in the background with lightning hitting it. And yeah, this sounds amazing. Maronisa is hired at the English estate of Mary and Percy Shelley, young artists, burgeoning fame, who are on the run from their secrets of their own. Mary is brooding and quiet, but she takes a curious liking to her new maid, asking her to accompany the Shelleys and her stepsister Claire, as well as the eccentric Lord Byron and his physician John Polidori, to Lake Geneva for the summer. That would be the year without a summer, right? When they all have their little ghost story competition. Almost immediately, Mare notices a strange ghostly event at the villa. The walls breathe, portraits shift, and phantoms appear like unbidden guests who refuse to leave. The weather is fierce and foreboding and shows no signs of softening. It's relentless Paul. And as Mary Shelley begins working on what will be the earth-shattering phenomena of literary prowess, Mare finds herself trapped in the villa as the rest of its inhabitants descend into madness. Now, if you have seen the film Gothic, really cool takes on this weekend. Really, really fun stuff. Yeah, I would really like to read this, especially for its links to Frankenstein and Dracula, or the vampire too. On February 10th, we have a book I've been waiting for, and no doubt lots of other people. If you like The Spite House by Johnny Compton, it was a really cool debut novel, I will say, but Dead First by Johnny Compton comes out February 10th. The cover is just really red, lots of blacks, black text with a big fat serif font. Dead First, really big letters. It's very type forward. And Johnny Compton in little tiny letters at the bottom. It is another cover with a house on the front. It's just a house that is backlit at night with lights shining through and silhouetted inside. Really nothing to write home about, striking because of its use of typography. When private investigator Shyla Sinclair is invited to the looming mansion of eccentric billionaire Saxton Braith, she's more than a little suspicious. The last thing she expects to see is Braith's assistant driving an iron rod straight through the back of his skull. Scratch that. The last thing she expects to see is Braith's resurrection afterward. Braith can't die, it turns out, and he has no explanation for his immortality and very few intact memories of his past, which is why he wants to pay Shyla millions to investigate him and bring his long-buried history to light. I mean, if I was immortal, I'd want to know why, too. Shyla can't help but be intrigued, and she's also trapped by the offer. Braith has made it clear that he knows she's the only person that he can trust with his secret because he knows all about hers. Ooh. This sounds really, really good, actually. A simple plot is always the best. And I'm finding plot lines are getting more and more simple, where the B story is what gets intricate in stories. So I'm interested to see what else is going on here. Next up, also February 10th, we have Grace by A.M. Shine. I have not read The Watchers or any other A.M. Shine, but I watched the film. I was not too taken with the film, to say the least, but I think that it would work better in a book. So I'm very excited to someday read some A.M. Shine. I like the covers. I like the use of typography. I like the use of just one or two colors on the fronts of these. It's very simple. And this Grace has a mountain that is in a white background, mirrored by a woman's face that is sort of mountainous looking, mirrored in red, with Grace in a serif font, all caps, and A.M. Shine at the top. Just really, really plain, very effective. Off the west coast of Ireland lies a lonely island, isolated and willfully forgotten. Some say there hasn't been a child born on the island for 30 years. Others speak of strange deaths there decades ago, but no one really knows what happened. Locals believe that the dark times are behind them. They are mistaken. Grace, adopted at 4 years old, has never known where she came from. A mysterious phone call leads her back to the island where she was born and where a terrible evil has been disturbed. As the evil starts to spread, Grace finds herself dragged into a living nightmare that threatens to engulf everyone who steps in its path. Now, my criticism of the film aside, I have another criticism of the use of a Kindlepreneur title. The title on Amazon, my dear friends, is Grace, an edge-of-your-seat atmospheric novel from the author of The Watchers. That's not the title of the book. That is so egregious and so misleading. I really, really dislike when established authors and successful authors and good publishers pull this sort of stuff. They don't need to do that. Just use the title. That's not the title. There's separate places in the description for that kind of stuff. Anyway, on to something way more beautiful. Maria the Wanted. I feel there should be a colon. Maria the Wanted, but it's just Maria the Wanted by V. Castro. I've still not read a V. Castro novel, if you can believe that. But this has a very beautiful cover. It's a woman's side lit in orange, very orangey red lighting. So it's very stark, very high key, and it's got a flower sort of melding into the other side of her face. And just really cool script text. Maria the Wanted. I don't know what this is about, so let's find out. Maria is a wanted woman. Okay, I get it. It still should have colons in the title. She's wanted by an Aztec trafficker, a cartel boss, the people she fights for, and now the devil she can't resist. A would-be immigrant turned vampire, Maria is forced to leave her home and family and embark on a journey across Mexico. She learns to fight, becoming an unlikely, badass enforcer of justice. Then an encounter with a violent, ruthless vampire boss leads her to find her creator. Drawn into a world of ancient vampires, deadly conspiracies, and a dangerously seductive devil, Maria must find a way to fight for herself and all of humankind. I love a good vampire story. I like a modern fighter vampire story, a violent, probably vampire story. It's weird when they're fighting for humankind. But we'll put a pin in that because I'm writing a story that's sort of similar, but not, of course, down south. This sounds really cool. I think that it's a nice reaction to Mexican Gothic. That's what we've been getting a lot of. So now if we get some really interesting modern vampire, Mexican vampire stories, I really do like this. I need to read a V. Castro. I think I've asked this before. If anyone knows where I should start with V. Castro, let me know. If you've read this, let me know if this is a good spot too. Also February 10th, like almost everything else in the world, The Body by Bethany C. Morrow. The cover's really cool. The text is Trajan Pro or something like that, a serif that is quite often used for titles of books, but the T in The Body is sort of like a cross, like an iron cross but elongated, and there's a stained glass window in the back and a big red shovel in the ground in the foreground. So it's kind of a religious horror that has to do with a body, right? It's gotta be. Mavis broke from her parents' congregation years ago, but she still hasn't recovered. So maybe cultish. Their impossible expectations and soul-shredding critiques have dug deep into her mind, and she's taunted by the knowledge that even when she's done nothing wrong, she'll never be right. Now Mavis is afraid she's about to lose the only thing that she has, her husband, Jared. The man she's always known is too good to be true. No one thinks she deserves him, and soon they'll find out that they were right. Mavis is already unraveling when a brush with death shows her what real fear looks like. Soon she's under control and attack from all directions. As the assaults turn increasingly vicious and bizarre, Mavis realizes that hell isn't reserved for the afterlife. So, I don't know. It sounds a little bit, not YA, but a little tame. I don't know if this is Christian horror. If you've read it, let me know if it is distinctly like a Christian moral tale. I'd be very interested to avoid it if so. But if it is just plain good religious horror, maybe a bit of a thriller. Maybe it's just too much more of a thriller. That's what I'm hearing here. I don't know. But if you've read it, let me know. We're still on February 10th with the 13th Floor anthology, and I had to include this because I'd not heard of any of these authors before. London's Maxwell Towers have long been under the control of Max, an all-seeing AI intent on punishing wrongdoers and wicked tenants by sending them to the 13th floor, where unspeakable horrors come to life. I would like to go there. Now, Max's coding has been embedded in all computer systems all over the world, and there's no escape from his nightmarish reign. So I'm guessing this is an anthology that has to do with this one place. Sort of like the Madhouse anthology that was all about this one asylum. Or of course for Splatterpunks, Pain Freak, that anthology was all about this one bar. But tangential ties to that one bar. I think this will be tangential ties to the 13th Floor and Max. Featuring 13 brand new stories by A.K. Benedict, Angela Slatter, Mason Cross, Una McCormick, Lavanya Lakshmanaran, Thana Nouveau, James Lovegrove, Derek Farrell, M.K. Hardy, John Llewellyn Probert, Martin Waits, Aubrey Wood, and James Goss. So yeah, a whole bunch of authors I've never heard of. The front cover is like this angry robot, sort of looks like something straight out of an anime or a 1970s cartoon with angry eyes and an angry mouth, and block red text saying the 13th floor. So a lot of yellows and reds and blacks. Very scary looking. And for something that looks a little more gentle but sounds even scarier to me, Tradwife by Saratoga Schaefer. This is also February 10th. The cover is black with a sort of duotone red and white kind of solarized, like for lack of better explanation, solarized is sort of a negative image of a woman who is pregnant wearing some sort of floral dress or something, a very Tradwife looking outfit with long, probably brown hair like most Tradwives, and a very nice plain bold serif Tradwife text, Times New Roman probably, and the author's name in white at the bottom. It's really striking. I like this use of the negative imagery as well. Photographic covers or photorealistic covers have been really cool lately, and seeing people play with the duotone kind of look, I doubly love. When Camille isn't cooking, cleaning, or homesteading in her picture-perfect country farmhouse, she's posting about her #Tradwife lifestyle for her online followers. She takes inspiration from other Tradwives on social media, aspiring to be like them. But Camille is missing one important component, a baby. And contrary to what she posts online, things with her husband Graham have been strained. Pressured by her eager followers, Camille fears that without a baby, her relationship will suffer and social media will never grow out of its infancy. Really good play on words there. When Camille discovers a mysterious decrepit well in the wheat field behind her house, she makes a wish for the baby. Afterward, she has unsettling experiences that she convinces herself are angelic in nature afterward. And when she's visited one night by a strange creature, her wish comes true. It's probably Satan. Camille's pregnancy announcement gets more engagement than anything she's ever posted. So what if Graham's reaction is lukewarm? Camille's life is finally falling into place. Never mind that her pregnancy is developing freakishly rapidly and she's suddenly craving raw meat. Being a Tradwife is worth it. Okay. I don't like stories like this about longing for pregnancy. It's just such a base thing. I get that a lot of women are in this position and maybe want to read stories like this, and maybe the horror of it before you actually get pregnant, reading pregnancy horror is fun, but usually not for me. I would have to have a pretty good review from someone I really trust, like my friend Amy Jane Vosper, but she is, of course, a new mom. I don't know if new moms are interested in reading new mom horror, right? Especially not freakishly rapid raw meat craving type pregnancies. Finally, another day, February 17th, Temple Fall by R.L. Boille. We have almost a tea-stained top of this book that fades into black with a picture of a huge mansion on the cover, like a very huge mansion. And it looks really gorgeous. It's got a lot of browns and tea staining, and then we go into like some black and white roses at the bottom with a script text across the front that sort of reminds me of like Regency romances or something like that. I'll hazard a guess that this is a Gothic of some sort. Flynn and her friends plan to spend the night in Temple Fall, a mysterious house up in the moors with a strange history, but her planned night of drinking and teenage debauchery, okay, it's not going to be a Gothic, whatever, twists into a surreal nightmare. Suddenly forced into strange choices and places, the tight-knit group starts to fall apart, and then Jackson falls to his death. In the days that come after, Flynn finds herself trapped as if she's never left the house, consumed by lost secrets of her family past and haunted by the specter of a Victorian woman. She finds herself losing time and seeing things that aren't there. Okay, it is a Gothic. It sounds like a Gothic to me. Reeling from her tragedy, Flynn must rebuild her group of friends and bring them all together to grieve and try to survive on their own. Because while they escaped Temple Fall, the house did not let them go. Sort of like Kill Creek. That house never let them go either. I really enjoyed that a lot. This sounds like it's right up my alley. On February 20th, we have something with a beautiful, beautiful cover. This is Of Beasts by M. Jane Worma. Now, it's beautiful in its artistry. I love the choice of colors, sort of like purples and greens, things that shouldn't go together, work so beautifully, like a lilac and a forest green. Sounds hideous, but oh, it's so gorgeous. It is this Puritan type person, a man wearing a priest's collar, and he's holding like a little baby goat. And it has a beautiful like old English text that says Of Beasts, a very nice plain title. And I think that the title says a heck of a lot. I really, really love the cover of this, and I like this description. Dante, a Protestant young man, and Jude, a sadistic pastor of a small Texas church, harbor a terrible secret from the world. They are together. The two share a taboo and passionate relationship in hidden peace until the dreams start. God speaks to them in visions of smoke and fire night after night, until the two of them come to the truth that they cannot ignore. Dante is the Antichrist, sent by God and urged to start the apocalypse. Go Dante. Dante refuses to participate, in the end of the world and the damnation of souls, but Jude is a loyal pastor, indifferent to the suffering of others, and is compelled to do what God tells him, even if it means killing the love of his life. This sounds amazingly fun. So yeah, if you've read Of Beasts, let me know. I think that I'll have to add this one to my list. I mean, it's on this list, but I mean on the other list. The list that costs money. February 24th. This is the last one on the list, and I want to buy it too. Dollface, a novel by Lindy Ryan. The cover is surreal in a way, in an Andy Warhol, Maryland kind of way. It's all very fuchsia, very pink, and it's got a very made up cat eyes with eyeliner and perfect eyebrows and a little bit of blood or something trickling down the forehead and just red lips, right? Dollface is in display font. I'm not really sure, like I'll have to look up what sort of font this looks like, but you would recognize it when you see it. Kind of 20s vintage looking display font, and the author's name in white across the bottom. Just very hot pink, all over. Horror author Jill has just moved to suburban New Jersey, hoping to fit in with the new PTA moms and maybe not weird everyone out with her final girl coffee mug, make some real friends. But then a plastic face-masked serial killer begins slashing their way through town, one overly made up mom at a time. The police are incredulous, the moms are panicking, and Jill is wrapped into a serial killer's murderous spree that might just leave her the last woman standing. And I like that it's the last woman standing and not a final girl. Like, a final girl is fun and all. I love a final girl story, especially in horror fiction. And I like teen slashers. That's like the bread and butter of horror in a lot of ways, even in writing, I like a lot of like Stephanie Sparks books. She's a Canadian author that writes a lot of this stuff. R.W. Duder, another Canadian author that writes like teen slasher stuff. B-grade horror films come to life in A+ books, right? I really, really like that. And this, a little more grown up, right? So those are 13 really awesome books with beautiful covers coming out this month in the horror genre. I said I would mention something about where I've been lately. I've been like right here. I've been reading a little bit of books, of course, not as many. My work's been very busy. I am a public servant here in Canada, and we have, if you've seen the news, if you follow politics, been kind of under the gun lately, and it's been very busy, and I work alongside internal communications, so it's been very busy and a little stressful, hence the spa day that I took, which was super helpful, and a huge thank you to my husband for gifting that to me for my birthday. I still have been a little bit not sick, but like sneezing a lot and not feeling 100% since I had COVID over the holidays, so it sort of like took my holidays away a little bit. I was sick for quite some time and just really tired for a lot of that. And I've been focusing on the podcast because I wasn't going to let everything kind of go. I picked one thing that was the most high demand thing, and I had a hard time reading while I was sick too, so I was already behind in reading. I took the most high demand thing and just turned it down to 1 from 11, and it happened to be this show. So I'm back. I'm feeling a lot better. I'm pretty much 100% energy, pretty much 100% everything. We'll see how my work goes. You know, you can watch the news. If you don't watch the news, I don't blame you because it's been ultra tragic lately. But I thought I would come on and catch up a little bit before I'm going to be doing the books coming out in March. And over the next couple days, I'll be making the video showing off a lot of the amazing books that I got, plus a whole bunch of splatterpunk zine, if you can believe that. And just there's a hardcover copy of Michelle Remembers sitting right there looking at me like, wow. We'll talk about that really soon. So thank you so much for watching. If you're going to pick up or have already read some of these books, let me know in the comments below. Have an ooky, spooky day.